Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. My name is Olga Malchevska and we are joined today by Marieluise Beck. She's a German politician and the member of the Greens party in the Bundestag. Welcome and thank you for joining us. From Ukrainian perspective, there is such an opinion, let's say, from in the experts, so-called, let's say, that Merkel and Hollande are making too much pressure on Kiev now and much more pressure than they make on Russia. And in your opinion, is it goes that way? And does Germany have any possibilities to influence Russia to fulfill those Minsk agreements?
Well, you must know that Germany has taken a hard positions on the annexation of Crimea and the Russian military footprint in Donbass, and that the decision of the West was not to answer militarily, but to answer with sanctions. And we do know that the sanctions hurt, along with the low oil price. There is pressure in German economy and other countries that claim, and which is true, that the sanctions hurt them too. So everybody in Europe would like to see that Minsk really comes to an end.
Can Germany make more pressure on Russia to fulfill the Minsk agreements?
Well, the main point is the sanctions. And you know that Germany took a very tough role in it. Kremlin knows that other countries which are not so familiar with the East, more far away, like Spain and once in a while Italy and other countries, they have the feeling, isn't it time that sanctions will be at least step by step taken back? So sanctions is the main instrument from the German, the French, the European side, plus sticking together with the United States. And I think this was something Kremlin did not expect, that Europe as a whole will stick together and then stick together with the United States.
In several European states, politicians have called to bar Russians connected with Savchenko's illegal detention from entering their country. It was called so-called Savchenko list. In your opinion, may Savchenko's list be approved in Germany and in the whole EU?
You know that she is a member of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, which means she is my colleague because I'm a member there too. The Council of Europe has very, very decided, spoken out that we want to see our colleague back in freedom. You know that the Russian Federation lost their voting rights within the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. We know that the state of health, Natasha, is not good. So I think the first step would be that there is neutral medical doctors having access, seeing her, talking to her, and being able to judge what state of health she's in. There is a huge international campaign by internet. I know that there's many, many people who have been signing all over the world. And it's, I think, 2 or 3 days ago that the German Foreign Ministry has come out with a very tough standpoint on the necessity of releasing Natasha and giving her freedom back.
There have been reports on Russia continuing to lobby its interests in Germany. Can this influence change the way Ukraine is perceived in Germany? In your opinion?
Well, I mean, we are a democratic society with free media, with different opinions and with many possibilities to use media like the internet, like Russian TV, Russia Today. And we have a very big community of migrants who are of German origin but have been raised in Russia and thus still speak Russia. And we know that the propaganda of Kremlin is addressing those people very precisely. It's a few weeks ago that a young girl who had difficulties in schools, problems in schools, and stayed with a friend, that there was the rumor being spread that she had been misused by some foreigners. And it was the Russian media that spread this rumor. It was even Foreign Minister Lavrov who said it publicly. And this really brought about awareness in Germany that there is infiltration and propaganda.
We have now the second anniversary of so-called referendum in Crimea and of the Russian occupation of Crimea and the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. In your opinion, how did the perception changed? I mean, the perception of that annexation of Crimea, how did that perception change in the international community and in the Council of Europe, for instance?
Well, I have to admit that when it happened, everybody was totally upset, and I know that many people didn't want to believe it, but this mission was so precisely prepared and thus in a negative way successful. The international community has the feeling, for the moment being, there will not be fast solutions. What we have to do is keep an eye on the human rights situation. I think it is a tragedy that the Tatar people that have been, by Stalin, have been driven out from Crimea once already, now are driven out of the country also, and it means that they have to spread and assimilate within the Russian Federation, which means losing their language, losing the possibility of keeping their cultural heritage together. The pressure on the media, the Tatar media, is very big. The pressure on the schools that had been teaching in Tatar language. And this is very, very disturbing. And I hope that we will keep it on the international agenda, that we never, never will accept this annexation.
What is your goal while visiting Ukraine, and what are your impressions about your visit, and what do you think is the biggest problem in Ukraine?
The biggest problem is that many more people need to understand that it is about responsibility for the country as a whole, which means setting back the own interests, building compromises. This is the center of democracy, means building compromises. You don't have the winner takes it all. You have to go and find compromises. This is very difficult, but I think since we all know that there is a political crisis in a country where there is debates about the relation between the president and the prime minister, and there has been a vote of mistrust. I think this country has to understand that there is chances for this country only if everybody accepts the responsibility that they have and to work together to make step by step and go forwards on the way to Western standards, to democratic standards, and a good living for the people, and good living always means good governance.
So it was very interesting. Thanks for your time. And we were joined by Marieluise Beck. She's a German politician and a member of Bundestag. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.